In any story that you read, the idea of conflict exists. A common understanding of conflict is the struggle between two opposing forces in the story. These two forces may or may not be physical beings, but they both have an impact on the plot of the story. In literature, there are many different kinds of conflict. Take a look at the images and use the helping words by the side to fill in the blanks. Let's see if you manage to match the words to the images correctly. Now that we are aware of the four main kinds of conflict, we will need to consider the source of the conflict. Is it external, like another character? Nature? Or the wider society? Or could the source of conflict be internal, where a character struggles with an inner weakness? Let's take a closer look at character versus character. This kind of conflict is the most common in literary texts. The conflict arises when two characters oppose each other in terms of their motivations and values. In the biblical story of David versus Goliath, we see David, a young shepherd boy, going into battle against Goliath, a fearsome giant. The vast contrast between David and his ordinary sling versus Goliath in his full military armor serves to heighten the conflict and tension in the story. When David ultimately overcomes the giant, his victory seems all the more triumphant. In literature, one iconic example you might think of would be that of famous detective Sherlock Holmes versus his equally famous archenemy, Professor Moriarty, the criminal mastermind. How about day-to-day examples of conflicts arising because of nature? Did you have pictures of natural disasters in your mind? Hurricanes, earthquakes, an unexpected tsunami? Or in the case of Herman Melville's novel Moby Dick, a sailor embarks on a quest to take revenge on a big white whale that destroyed his ship and his leg. Here, the big white whale represents the conflict brought about by nature. Isn't that interesting? Sometimes it is society itself that characters stand up against. Using modern-day examples, can you recall any famous people who have championed significant causes? You might have thought of people like Malala Yousafzai. A Nobel Peace Prize winner, Malala is famous worldwide for her campaign for girls' education and rights. People like Malala stand up against societies and systems that oppress individuals.
When the world is silent, even one voice becomes powerful.
In Lewis Lowry's science fiction novel The Giver, a young boy named Jonas lives in an alternate version of our world. A world that has eliminated pain and strife by removing people's emotions and forcing all individuals to be the same. It is such a world that Jonas fights to escape from, as he seeks the freedom to feel and to dream. As for the last kind of conflict, character versus self, it is an internal conflict. Such a conflict could be a result of a character flaw that is either psychological, like extreme distrust, or a moral weakness. When characters possess flaws, they seem more relatable to the readers. For instance, was there a time when you consistently doubted someone's motivations? Or perhaps a time when you should have taken a stand for what was right, but failed to do so? Taking a look at literature, a recognizable but more extreme example would have to be Robert Louis Stevenson's Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. The story introduces Dr. Jekyll as a character who invents and drinks a potion, which then transforms him into a monstrous individual who goes around killing people. Throughout the story, Dr. Jekyll has to battle his alter ego. A quote from the book, "Man is not truly one, but two, sums up the predicament. Dr. Jekyll has to overcome the evil inner self he created in order to resolve the conflict. What a struggle indeed. That's all for this video. For the next story you read, try identifying the kind of conflict present in the story. Have fun!